There's a disturbing paradox, a cruel twist of fate that affects those who have endured prolonged periods of stress and anxiety. For some, peace itself becomes terrifying. The very absence of conflict, the quietude that most people crave, can trigger a cascade of fear and unease. It's a deeply unsettling experience, where the expectation of harm overshadows the present moment of tranquility. For those subjected to chronic surveillance or harassment, those who have lived under the constant threat of observation and judgment, quiet moments, meant to be restful, a chance to recharge and find solace, become triggers for dread. The silence amplifies the anticipation, turning a sanctuary into a potential trap. The absence of obvious threat, the lack of immediate danger signals that something covert is about to happen, that the storm is brewing just beneath the surface of the calm, turning calm into a stage for anticipatory fear. The body braces itself, waiting for the inevitable disruption. Abusers exploit this by disrupting peace, intentionally shattering moments of calm to maintain control and instill fear, training the nervous system to expect harm when things are quiet. The body becomes conditioned to associate tranquility with impending danger. The body learns that calm is just the prelude to chaos, a deceptive facade masking the threat that is always lurking nearby, creating perpetual hypervigilance. The senses are heightened, constantly scanning for any sign of danger. Every small sound or shadow becomes a potential threat, a trigger that sends the nervous system into overdrive, keeping the mind on relentless alert. There is no off switch, no escape from the constant vigilance. This isn't irrational paranoia. It's not a sign of mental instability. It's a learned, adaptive response to ongoing psychological abuse. The brain is simply trying to protect itself from further harm. Over time, the victim craves rest, longs for a moment of genuine peace and quiet, but fears it, knowing that vulnerability can be exploited. Locked in fight or flight, even in silence, the body remains on high alert, ready to defend itself at any moment. The ultimate goal, the insidious aim of the abuser, to internalize the torment, to make the victim the source of their own suffering. So the victim becomes their own jailer, trapped within the confines of their own fear and anxiety, forever equating serenity with danger. The path to healing involves breaking this association and reclaiming the right to feel safe and at peace. Narcissistic abuse, it's an insidious form of emotional and psychological manipulation, is a masterclass in creating hypervigilance, a state of heightened alertness where the victim is constantly on guard, anticipating danger. It's like living in a perpetual state of high alert. The abuser's unpredictability, their sudden shifts in mood and behavior, forces the victim to constantly scan for subtle cues, reading facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice, trying to anticipate the next outburst or manipulation. They become experts in reading the abuser, but at a great cost to their own well-being, making peace feel like a trap, a temporary reprieve before the next storm. The victim can never truly relax, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Moments of calm, those brief periods of apparent normalcy, are often precursors to sudden outbursts, explosive rage, or passive-aggressive attacks, leaving the victim in a constant state of anxiety, teaching the victim to distrust tranquility, to associate peace with impending danger. They learn that calm is not a safe space, but a deceptive facade. The nervous system can't relax. It's constantly on high alert, stuck in a perpetual state of fight or flight. Quiet becomes suspense, a pregnant pause filled with unspoken threats and the anticipation of conflict, not safety. There is no true refuge, no place to truly let down their guard. Gaslighting erodes the victim's trust in their own perception, making them question their sanity and their ability to accurately interpret reality. Deepening dependency on the abuser, as they become increasingly reliant on the abuser's distorted version of reality. For reality checks, the victim starts to rely on the abuser's perception of reality, further solidifying the abuser's control. The victim's energy is consumed by managing the abuser's moods, walking on eggshells to avoid triggering their anger or disapproval, leaving no room for rest or healing. They are emotionally depleted, constantly drained by the demands of managing the abuser's fragile ego. Hypervigilance isn't a side effect. It's not just an unfortunate consequence of the abuse. It's a tool, a deliberate strategy employed by the abuser to maintain control, keeping the victim exhausted and compliant, too drained to resist or challenge the abuser's authority. The absence of conflict feels ominous, a sign that something even worse is brewing beneath the surface. Not comforting. It's a deceptive peace, a false sense of security that masks the underlying threat. Healing becomes impossible. The constant state of alert prevents the nervous system from regulating and processing the trauma. When calm itself is weaponized, used as a tool for psychological manipulation and control, the victim is trapped in a cycle, an endless loop of anxiety, fear, and hypervigilance, where safety signals have been systematically corrupted, leaving them unable to distinguish between genuine safety and impending danger. This is the architecture of control, a carefully constructed system of manipulation and abuse. Peace becomes the enemy. Organized stalking elevates psychological abuse to a communal level. Multiple perpetrators use ordinary events like synchronized actions or repeated symbols to signal constant surveillance. These tactics, called street theater, make the victim hypervigilant, isolating them from support. The methods are deniable, so victims' concerns are often dismissed as paranoia. Every mundane detail becomes a potential threat, dismantling the brain's ability to filter out harmless stimuli. The target's world turns hostile. Daily life itself becomes anxiety-inducing. The dread becomes self-perpetuating as the victim polices themselves, trapped in a psychological panopticon. The true weapon is the victim's own nervous system, conditioned to see danger everywhere. Sleep. It's more than just a biological necessity. It's the foundation upon which we build our days, our health, and our very sanity. It's the time when our bodies repair themselves, our minds process information, and our spirits find solace. But for abusers, sleep represents something else entirely, the first frontier of control. It's a vulnerable state, a period of unconsciousness that can be easily manipulated for abusers seeking control. Sleep cycle sabotage, a deliberate and insidious tactic. Loud noises, jarring and unexpected, shattering the fragile peace. Timed disruptions, carefully orchestrated to interrupt the natural flow of sleep. Late-night calls, the phone ringing incessantly, a constant reminder that peace is never truly attainable. This relentless assault on sleep keeps the target in chronic exhaustion, a state of perpetual fatigue that weakens their resolve. The predictability of these disruptions breeds anxiety, a constant state of alert, waiting for the next intrusion. The simple act of preparing for bed becomes fraught with apprehension, making even the act of going to bed a trigger, a reminder of the torment to come. Sleep deprivation erodes emotional regulation, leaving the victim vulnerable to outbursts and mood swings. It also impairs rational thought, clouding judgment and making it difficult to think clearly. This combination of emotional instability and cognitive impairment makes the victim easier to manipulate, more susceptible to the abuser's influence. The bedroom, once a sanctuary, a place of peace and rest, becomes a place of dread, a battleground where sleep is the enemy. The body learns that sleep is dangerous, associating it with fear and anxiety. This creates a state of hyperarousal, reinforcing the cycle of hyperarousal, where the body is constantly on high alert. Even if external disruptions stop, even if the abuser is no longer actively interfering, the internal alarm remains active, the body still anticipating the next attack. The victim's own body enforces the deprivation, perpetuating the cycle of sleeplessness. Restless nights become the norm, making true rest impossible, a distant memory. This conditioning is a powerful tool for control, a subtle but devastating form of manipulation. It weakens resistance and clarity, leaving the victim vulnerable and disoriented. The war is waged in the most vulnerable hours, when defenses are down and the body is at its weakest. It's a cruel irony that this happens when the body should be healing, when it desperately needs restorative rest. The surveillance loop is a cycle where victims internalize their tormentor's vigilance. External threats become internalized, so the nervous system scans for danger even in safety. Through conditioning, calm becomes a trigger for anxiety. Relaxation leads to panic, not peace. Everyday stimuli are paired with threats until tranquility itself signals impending harm. Attempts to heal can backfire, as meditation or rest provoke dread. The body's alarm system misfires, trapping the victim in their own skin. The abuser's goal is learned helplessness, outsourcing torment to the victim's own mind. Even if harassment stops, the internal loop keeps the suffering alive. The fear grows, powered by the corrupted instinct for safety. Calm anxiety inversion rewires the body's internal compass. In healthy systems, calm signals safety. In abuse, it signals risk. The brain learns that peace precedes attack, so calm triggers stress hormones. Relaxation techniques can become panic-inducing, making healing difficult. Victims may feel safer in chaos, as it matches their internal alarm. This inversion leaves them disoriented. Peace feels dangerous, anxiety feels honest. The system meant to guide us to safety becomes a prison. The effects are isolating, as victims can't trust their own feelings. The tragedy is profound. Instincts for safety are turned against the self. It's a testament to how deeply environment can shape our biology. Surveillance loop programming locks the nervous system into chronic arousal. The body's stress response stays on, straining heart, immune, and digestive systems. Chronic tension leads to pain, fatigue, and vulnerability to illness. Mentally, brain fog, memory loss, and emotional numbness set in. Joy and connection fade, replaced by survival mode. The trauma is stored in the body, not just the mind. Recovery is hard because the body reacts as if danger is ever present. Healing requires working with the body to release stored trauma. It's a slow process, convincing the body the war is over. True recovery means restoring the body's sense of safety. Reclaiming safety after surveillance loop trauma is a gradual journey. The first step is establishing real physical safety distance from abusers, secure environments. Only then can the nervous system begin to relax. Internal regulation must be gentle. Even relaxation can be triggering. Start with micro moments of peace, safe sensations, small comforts. Somatic therapies help process trauma stored in the body, not just the mind. These approaches restore the nervous system's flexibility and rhythm. Rebuilding safe relationships is crucial for healing social trust. Co-regulation with supportive people helps repair isolation. Healing is possible through safety, gentle self-regulation, somatic work, and connection. Surveillance loop abuse thrives in silence and isolation. Naming these experiences, hypervigilance, calm anxiety inversion, breaks the spell of invisibility. Sharing knowledge creates a map for survivors and builds collective resistance. Understanding the body's trauma response fosters compassion, not judgment. Spread awareness, discuss, share, educate, so survivors are met with recognition, not skepticism. A shared vocabulary empowers survivors and allies alike. If this resonates, know you're not alone. Your experience is real. Seek support, connect with others, and find trauma-informed help. By coming together, we transform private suffering into collective healing. Together, we can dismantle the surveillance loop and reclaim sanctuary.